Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading the blood of the path of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far on the way, thou who has by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in your path, we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Ooh.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Narita Hughes, the Dean of Business, Technology, Career, and Workforce Development with North Hennepin Community College, but I am also the chair of the council. Thank you and welcome for viewing our 2021 Day on the Hill. I want to send a special thank you to Ashley DeBose for her rounding rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Let's talk about 2020. 2020 was a year we definitely will never forget. Our annual report, our theme was empowerment. What did that look like for us? We were empowered through all of the actions that we took, through our community outreach, through our legislative activity, and also through our courageous conversations. We made sure that we heard you, we made sure that we took action, and most of all, we made sure that we were empowered to do the work that needed to be done at the state level to ensure our voices were indeed heard. I am so excited for this day. Unfortunately, I wish we could be face-to-face in the rotunda, but unfortunately, with the pandemic, we are actually doing this through this modality. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our council members. So I want to acknowledge our council members and the time that they've shared with us. Secretary Alfreda Daniels, Vice Chair Wayne Doe, Council Member Jude Nandi, Council Member Quentin Bonds, Council Member Andre Dukes, Council Member Carl Crawford, Council Member Biftu Busa, Council Member, Tawana Mullins, Council Member Hollis Winston, and also our legislative representative John Thompson. So now that you had a chance to really review and see who our council members were, one of the things that I also want to acknowledge we want to acknowledge our legislative heads that have, worked with us side by side, have served on the council. We have to acknowledge, and I still to this day still call him Senator Jeff Hayden. He really came in at a time where the council was in transition, and he pushed us. He also helped us move some bills forward and offered our support. I also want to acknowledge Representative Mohammed Noor. So thank you both for your service that you have provided for the council. In previous years, we all know that Representative Rena Moran was right there with us on the front line, having our backs, having your backs as the community, and listening to what it is that you all wanted to say. I also just want to kind of share why this is so important for you all to participate and be in the know of our African Heritage Day. It is an opportunity for you to reach out to your legislative officials and to talk about issues that are near and dear to your heart so that we can remove some of these disparities and eliminate them for good. We are looking at educational disparities. We're looking at health disparities. We also have transportation, housing, and I could go on and on. But this is a time for you to get engaged with the legislative process. Understand how bills are passed. Understand how you can testify at certain committees and hear what they have to say as far as what they're putting forth for the state, and most importantly, how it impacts us as Black and Brown individuals. So again, I thank you for sharing in this day with us, and enjoy the rest of the program.
Hello, my name is Linda Sloan, and I'm the new Executive Director for the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage. The Council was empowered 40 years ago to ensure that the people of African heritage could fully and effectively participate in and equitably benefit from the political, social, and economic resources, policies, and procedures of the state of Minnesota. There are two words that resonate with me in that statement: empowered and equitably. The council has been charged with and given the authority to advise the governor and the legislature on African heritage issues and any statutes, rules, and revisions to programs that will impact our community. That is empowerment. It's a powerful place to be, having direct access to the governor and the legislative body. But power means nothing if you don't utilize it, appropriately. So the question on the table is, what will we do with that access to power to benefit the African heritage people? That's where the equity comes into play. Our vision is to help drive policy so that there is equity in healthcare, equity in education, equity in the workforce, equity in housing. The list just goes on and on and on, because we know that the African heritage community is facing disparities in so many areas on so many levels. My hope is that the council can help the African heritage community come together, collectively address our issues, determine what policy changes need to be made, and then work with the governor and the legislators, and in particular our Black legislators, to reduce and eliminate inequities in the African heritage community. I am encouraging you to join us, and more importantly, please see us as a partner and a resource in the community. We can do this. Let's just do it together.
Hi, I'm St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter. While the enduring impacts of this global public health and economic crisis prevent us from gathering in person, I'm glad to offer this message for the 2021 African American Heritage Virtual Day on the Hill. Engaging in the legislative process is more vital than ever. The ongoing work of our Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage, along with all those joining us today, is essential to ensuring our community's voice is heard. And it's vital to ensuring we equitably benefit from the political, social, and economic resources our state capital has to offer. Amid these uncertain times, may we all draw hope and inspiration from the wisdom of those who came before us in this work. And may we all move forward together with one unified voice in bending the arc of history toward justice and building a better world for our children and grandchildren. Just as we all continue our work to ensure no one is left behind, please also make sure you are taking care of yourself, because we need you as our teammate in this work. Thank you much. Stay safe, keep your masks on, and I'll look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Hello everyone, Governor Tim Walz here. Thank you for letting me join you for your annual Day on the Hill. From a global pandemic that has claimed the lives of so many of our neighbors and loved ones, to the killing of George Floyd and a renewed call for racial justice, the past year has been unprecedented, and it was full of hardship and pain. We know that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a disproportionate impact on Black communities. We also know this is not unique to the long history of discrimination and disparities Black Minnesotans have and continue to face. There is so much work to be done to eliminate these disparities and bring equity and justice to Black Minnesotans. But the Lieutenant Governor and I are committed to working with legislators to address these issues and support Minnesotans disproportionately affected by this pandemic. Minnesota's COVID-19 recovery budget, our budget proposal for this biennium, reflects these priorities and ensures that those Minnesotans who are most affected have access to the resources they need and deserve. Our partnership with the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage is critical to our ongoing goal of centering Black voices throughout the recovery from COVID-19. I look forward to working together towards a stronger, more equitable Minnesota.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan here. I'm thrilled to join you for your annual Day on the Hill. The Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage is an essential partner in making sure that state government is accessible to Black Minnesotans and communities. This past year has been incredibly challenging, especially for Black communities. The COVID-19 pandemic has exposed and exacerbated disparities that Black Minnesotans have faced for a long time in healthcare, income, wealth, and so much more. And the murder of George Floyd at the hands of law enforcement in Minneapolis only deepened the moment of grief that we are in. It's clear to me, as I know that it is to you, that deep structural change is needed and necessary. It's also incredibly challenging to turn a ship that has been moving in one direction for over 400 years. But that is the work that we're doing together. In the 2020 bonding bill, we were able to secure $30 million specifically for organizations and projects led by and serving Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. Now the bonding bill has felt like a handshake behind closed doors for too long. And my hope is that the focus on equity only grows until it just becomes the way we do things around here. We're facing a challenging legislative session, but the governor and I are determined to work with our partners in the legislature to tackle the challenges we face today while still investing in our future. Working families, schools, and small businesses, especially in communities of color, have disproportionately borne the fallout from the pandemic. What's clear to me above all else is that Minnesotans need support now than ever before. We will not recover from this pandemic through austerity measures. We cannot cut our way to abundance. You can see these priorities reflected in our budget. Our neighbors experiencing homelessness, our students who are catching up from nearly 2 years of distance learning, our working families who are struggling to make ends meet or losing a job or a business. The last thing they need is a cut to critical services. I look forward to working with all of you to come out of this pandemic stronger than ever. Thank you for the work that you have done, and thank you for the work that we will do together.
Hey friends, this is Keith Ellison here, Attorney General for the state of Minnesota. And I just want to thank everyone at the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage, because you all are coming together, asserting your issues, asserting values, and making sure that the interests of the African community is looked after. Let me just tell you, I view the legislative process as sort of like a group of people of all different ways of thinking out in an arena. Imagine yourself at Target Field. You got the teachers here, you got the farmers here, you got all these people there, and you got the African community there too. And there's a big cake in the middle of the arena. Somebody rings the bell and everybody rushes to the center to get some cake. If you don't rush into there to get some cake, you're not gonna have any. If you rush in there to get some cake, you may not get a big giant slice, but you're gonna get some cream if you just get in there and push for it. If you stay in the stands and say, you know what, we have been historically discriminated against, racism is wrong, this is unjust, there should be a better system, it should be more fair, and just stay in the stands waiting for people to be fair, you ain't gonna get no fairness. You will get the degree of fairness that you get in there and fight for. I'm telling you, it is a great thing that you all are exercising your rights. And I want to encourage you to be involved in the Hill Day. And I want to ask you to reach out to other people to be involved in the Hill Day. Meet your legislator, meet other legislators, meet people in the executive branch, and push the interests of the community. Do educating, help people understand. You know, there are a lot of issues this year that impact the African community. You know, I will tell you there's a few issues that my office has been working on. First of all, we do very aggressive consumer advocacy. My office fields calls. We got over 85,000 calls last year, and we actually resolved 17,000 complaints. And many of those people are from the African American community. We're there and available to them. We have staff who speak Oromo, Somali, and any other language that the African community, the African diaspora may speak. We also have been active on the State Board of Pardons, where I was instrumental in seeing Mayan Burrell finally be free after 18 years for a crime that we believe he did not even commit. And also, you know, we've been very active prosecuting officers who killed George Floyd. And there are many other things. Just the list is really too long. But the point is, I'm doing all I can, you're doing all you can. And together, if we keep on working for justice, we're going to get it. So I just want to say thank you for your advocacy, and may your efforts be rewarded. God bless.
Hello, my name is Angela Rose, and I am the president of the Minneapolis NAACP. The Minneapolis NAACP has been serving the Black Minneapolis community since the early 1900s. We are so proud of the work that community members have done, and we are looking forward to continue to advocate for policy recommendations that are Black-led and Black-centered. So the role as a leader today during these times depends on us to be unafraid, but it also requires us to be beholden to the communities most impacted by racism and white supremacy. Our goal going forward is to continue to amplify community voices by uplifting Black activists and community members, by bringing them along as we are invited to new spaces and new tables, and then also reminding them that your power and your voice is important. You have a right to raise your voice. You have a right to contact your representatives, whether it be your city council persons or your representatives in the state legislature or in the federal government as well. The policy agenda of the Minneapolis NAACP supports policy recommendations community members have created and have been fighting for. We are working with our community. We are representatives of our community. And so it is so crucial that community members now more than ever get involved in the NAACP and then also recognize that they have power themselves. You have the power yourself to get involved in our government's process. So from public hearings to speaking with your representatives, we are here to support you and to support the policy recommendations that you have to better our community. We are at a turning point in American history, and we can't fear the unknown as we set out to make change. We must be bold, we must be unafraid, but we also must be rooted in our community.
Hey, I'm Ashley DuBose, and this is my original song, Make Me Black, written by me and produced by DJ Rich Lee. You can listen to it anywhere you listen to your music digitally, and let's get into it. Make Me Black. Yeah. Low down, moves it. Yeah. If I die and come back, make me black. Anywhere in the world on the map. I don't care if my head got some naps. Rock a fro with a pick in the back. If I die and come back, make me black. Even if the world don't like me cause of that. Give me style, give me heart, give me strength, make me black. Yo, if I die and come back, make me black. In the present, in the future, in the past. Give me roots that run deeper than the flag. Like the soil of the earth, make me black. Rich in love and abundant in abilities, ingenuity and endless creativity. I want the style and the grace and the walk. I want the wisdom and the gall. I want it all, yeah. If I die and come back, make me black. Anywhere in the world on the map. I don't care if my hair got some naps. Rock a fro with a pick in the back. If I die and come back, make me black. Even if the world don't like me cause of that. Give me soul, give me rhythm, give me swag. Give me heart, give me strength, make me black. Yo, I want the tone of the voice when I speak that makes it known most unmistakably that my chords have been kissed by the gods. I want the power to defeat any odds. Make my eyes sparkle like the stars. Keloid skin in the dark colored scars. Melanin popping, bathing in the sun. Give me rhythm when I'm dancing to the drums. Put a little extra sauce on the kid just for fun. Can't nobody pull it off like the kids where I'm from. Rough beginnings, but just look at the way we bounce back. If I die in return, Lord, please make me black. Yeah. If I die and come back, make me black. Anywhere in the world on the map. I don't care if my head got some naps. Rock a fro with a pick in the back. If I die and come back, make me black. Even if the world don't like me cause of that. Give me soul, give me rhythm, give me swag. Give me heart, give me strength, make me black. Yo, I could be born in Kenya where they speak Swahili, or an 80s baby born in Mississippi, weed smoking hippie, Queen Nefertiti. I don't mind when the where I tell you why, cause see, we be the people that make the world smile, world go round. And you wonder why they keep us down, but don't frown, there's a blessing in our essence, that's the message that I'm stressing. If I die and go to heaven, I'ma tell them if I die and come back, make me black, make me anywhere in the world on the map, make me. I don't care if my hair got some naps, make me black, rock a fro with a pick in the back. If I die and come back, make me black. Even if the world don't like me cause of that. Give me soul, give me rhythm, give me swag. Give me heart, give me strength, make me black, yeah. Yo, black people, I know the world tries to tell us a lot about what it means to be black, but never forget the blessing and the beauty inherent in your blackness. Yo, if I die and come back, make me black. Anywhere in the world on the map, yeah. Yeah. Rock a fro with a pick in the back, yeah. If I
Hi everyone, I'm State Senator Bobby Joe Champion. I represent Senate District 59, which is comprised of North Minneapolis, the North Loop, Downtown, Elliott Park, and Bryn Mawr. I am so happy to be with you virtually here today for the Day on the Hill. I know this is different. We're used to being with each other physically, but we now have to be together virtually because of this unprecedented pandemic. Just so that you also know, I serve on finance. I'm the ranking member for Jobs and Economic Growth and Finance. I am also a member of the Capital Investment Committee. Those are just some of the committees that I'm on. Notwithstanding those committees, some of the bills that I'm working on and that I'm going to continue to push, one is the African American Family Preservation Act, because it's important for our families to stay together. Two, I am going to be the chief author of the Crown Act, because we should not be discriminated because of our hair. And I'm also going to continue to push the equity bill. That started in 2016, where we've to date have invested over $100 million in our communities all across this great state, so people can learn, get training, education, and get the necessary capital that they need for their businesses. Last but certainly not least, although there are a number of other bills that I'm chief authoring, I am going to continue to support and author Restore the Vote, because I believe it's important for us all to have the right to our voice and for our voice to be heard in this democracy. And what better way for our voice to be heard than by our vote? I'm so happy that you're here today. If I can do anything to help, please feel free to contact my office. And if you want to see other bills that I'm working on, because the bills that I just mentioned are a small fraction of the bills that I'm working on that I'd love for you to take a look at. So thank you so much, and I hope that you continue to have a great day.
Hi, I'm State Representative Rena Moran, and it's such a treat to join you today. This is my 6th term as a member of the Minnesota House serving District 65A, which covers St. Paul neighborhoods of Frogtown, Rondo, Summer University, and part of the North End and Cathedral Hill. This session, I was honored to take on a new position as Chair of Ways and Means Committee, which has broad jurisdiction over our state budget. So really, I won't lie, as a legislator, I'm personally excited about this role, but more significantly, it's a really big deal for our community. In this position, I have the opportunity to make sure that the decisions we make at the Capitol are truly made through a race equity lens. So, my main focus this session will be to help deliver on the recommendation that came from the Select Committee on Racial Justice. I want to just ask you, if you have not read that report or seen that report, that you take the time to read it. Just to read it and take it in and see, we try to tell a story, we try to share information, and we make recommendations about how we need to move forward. This is a select committee that I chaired with my colleague, Representative Ruth Richardson. And confronting racism is uncomfortable for legislators who don't look like me, who are not a reflection of me, but improving opportunities for our community and for our families would mean that our whole state will get to succeed. And I know you agree with me that when we do better, I believe that we all will do better. And we won't have to be in the national spotlight for these opportunity gaps and terrible health outcomes or violence at the hands of police. So, thank you for being a part of the work and of the council. Thank you for the work that you do every day back in your communities, with our schools, with your children, with nonprofit organizations. That's the work that we have to continue to do together. And I look forward to continuing to bring your voices to the Capitol when you're not able to, and say good luck. We can do this year in 2021. This is a moment in time. So let's not let this moment in time pass us by without being engaged. Take care. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you to the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage for hosting your annual Day on the Hill. I'm sorry we can't meet in person, but appreciate the chance to greet you virtually. I'm Ruth Richardson, the representative for District 52B, which includes Mendota Heights, Sunfish Lake, Inver Grove Heights, and a portion of Eagan. I'm in my second term at the legislature, and I serve as chair of the Education Policy Committee and as a member of the Commerce Committee, the Transportation Committee, and Education Finance. I'm also a speaker pro tem, which means I can stand in the place of the Speaker of the House and preside over floor sessions at the Capitol, and I'm also co-chair of our United Legislative Black Caucus. In 2020, after the tragic killing of George Floyd, we started a long overdue conversation at the Capitol about the brutal and devastating impacts of systemic racism. I was proud to chief author House Resolution 1, declaring racism a public health crisis, which created the House Select Committee on Racial Justice. As co-chair of the House Select Committee, we centered the voices of BIPOC communities and we listened. And we followed the lead of community to develop a comprehensive Select Committee report on racial justice. The report traced historical traumas, told the history of people of African descent in our nation and in our state, and it also laid out the unacceptable data on disparities in every aspect of our systems in Minnesota, those that occurred prior to COVID and the deepening of those disparities within this pandemic. We also put a human face on the conditions through stories before focusing on a list of recommendations. We have before us the most expansive agenda for our community in the history of the legislature. So now, more than ever, we need your powerful voices at the Capitol. This is your house. Show up, make yourself at home, make your voices heard, and make sure that your voices are framing our agenda. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Hodin Hassan. I'm a state rep from South Minneapolis, representing District 62A. This is my second term in office. I sit in the following committees: Housing, Education Policy, Ways and Means, Legacy, and Property Tax. I'm working on the following bills on different committees. In education, I'm working on increasing teachers of color and American Indian teachers. We know that our students learn best when they're taught by people that look like them, that have the same experience and understand their struggles. I'm also working on a bill that puts more funding on the disruption of COVID in our education system, whether it's after-school programs, summer programs, reading and math programs, trauma-informed schools, and full community service schools. In housing, I'm working on some tenant laws and trying to reform some tenant protection laws, starting with evictions. As we know, once the governor's orders are lifted, the moratorium will also end, moratorium on evictions will also end, and that will have huge impact on our community. It's important for our African heritage community to stay engaged and involved in the legislative process. If anything, we have seen during COVID that our system has inequities and many flaws, and our communities many times are left behind because we are not sitting at the table. And even if we're sitting at the table, our voices are not being heard. So I encourage people to stay involved. We're fighting a systemic oppression and systemic racism as old as this country, 500 years ago. So it's not going to be easy, but we have to stay involved, to stay engaged, and keep fighting. Thank you very much.
I'm State Representative Lisa Dameth, serving District 13A, and I'm in my second term. The committees that I serve on are early childhood, education finance, health finance, and I was also elected as an assistant minority leader for my caucus, and I had the privilege of serving as vice chair on the Select Committee for Racial Justice. We know that the year 2020 was unimaginable, starting out with a pandemic and all of the unknowns with that, and then moving on with the death of George Floyd and the civil unrest that ensued. This is a time that we must focus on coming together as Minnesotans, and I am committed to continue that work. Specifically in the area of education, we know we have an achievement gap that does not serve our students of Minnesota well. I am committed to bringing that closer together so that our kids in Minnesota can get the education that they deserve. Thank you for being a part of the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage. Your voice, letting legislators know what is important to you, is invaluable. As we move forward into healing for our state and moving along, thank you for the work that you do. Please feel free to reach out, let us know what is needed and how we can all come together and work together. Thank you.
All right, hello, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this event. My name is Ernest Comer III. I'm the Associate Director with the African American Leadership Forum, and I am honored to be here to bring greetings and salutations on behalf of our organization. I want to share just briefly about our commitment to the idea of empowerment and how that's been demonstrated throughout 2020, and we'll continue to see that demonstrated throughout this year and coming years into the future. We are really committed to making sure that we're sharing resources, that we're creating awareness, and that we're investing in our leaders throughout the community. We're sharing resources through things like our COVID-19 hotline that exists in partnership with Phyllis Wheatley Community Center, and through things like the list of resources that we've placed on our website for COVID-19 relief. We're also creating awareness through different initiatives like our Black Amplified Town Hall event happening every other week, virtually, and through different things like the Black Business Support Collective, making sure that there's as much awareness as there should be about the information relevant to the businesses impacted by COVID-19. We're also investing in leaders. We're making sure that our leaders that are coming up in our community are resourced with the tools that they need to be able to have the impact that they're capable of making. And that happens through our Black Center design process and the collective impact work that we do through that initiative, as well as the Josie R. Johnston Leadership Academy that we operate within our organization. Our collective impact work has granted us the opportunity to be able to distribute over $20,000 in grants last year to different organizations and initiatives operating programs, and invest in our through our Leadership Academy, where we were able to invest in our fellows and alumni, participating in things like the March on Washington that took place last year. So we will continue to make these investments, we'll continue to share resources and continue to create awareness into the future. We look forward to being part of the work that's happening in our community and truly appreciate the work of the Council of Minnesotans of African Heritage. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here, and please continue to do the amazing work that you do.
Hello, my name is W.C. Jordan, and I'm joining you today on behalf of the Minnesota Dakotas Area State Conference of the NAACP. I would like to thank the Council for inviting the NAACP to participate in their 2021 African Heritage Day on the Hill. At the NAACP, our mission is to secure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights in order to eliminate race-based discrimination and ensure the health and well-being of all persons. I am pleased to be able to share with you that despite the challenges presented by the pandemic, the state conference was able to pivot and remained actively engaged. A few key activities and engagements included working to ensure that the public was informed regarding the ever-changing landscape of the COVID-19 pandemic, serve on the Community Resilience and Recovery Group. The state conference became a plaintiff in a lawsuit against the Secretary of State filed by the Minnesota ACLU that resulted in elimination of the requirement for registered voters in Minnesota to have a witness or notary public sign their absentee ballot during the COVID-19 pandemic. The state conference worked to help ensure a complete count of Census 2020 through advocating for the move to virtual phone banks. We are engaged in ongoing discussions with proponents of the proposed amendment to the Education Clause of the Minnesota Constitution. Finally, because of the police shooting of George Floyd, several state conference officers provided testimony at the House and Senate hearings in our efforts to advocate for police reform. We value the advocacy work that we perform, and we support the Council's 2020 theme of empowerment as we have collaborated with them for equity in the state of Minnesota. My thanks for this opportunity to share and be with you.
Hello, my name is Omar Fateh, and I'm the freshman state senator representing District 62, which is in South Minneapolis. Currently, I serve on 4 committees: the Human Services Reform Committee, Human Services Licensing Committee, I serve as the ranking member on the Technology Reform Committee, and lastly, the State Government Finance and Elections Committee. Some of the bills that I'm working on this session have a direct impact on people of African heritage, and I will need your support to get it done. The first being ending qualified immunity for police officers who commit acts of violence against Minnesotans, especially African Americans. I'm working on this in coalition with many local activists as a broader conversation about public safety reform and ending the brutality experienced by our community. Also, I'm working on ending the disparities our community experiences in the healthcare system. I do not believe we can adequately address these disparities without switching to a single-payer, universal healthcare system for Minnesota. That is why I am the co-author of the Minnesota Health Plan. I am proud to be one of 2 African American members in the Minnesota Senate, especially given the times that we are in. I serve in the district in which George Floyd was murdered, and we must do everything in our power to make sure that real solutions to our system of policing are discussed and implemented. It is critical for citizens of the African heritage community to engage and participate in the legislative process because we as elected officials cannot do this alone. We need you to stand up and to be loud. And we need you to make your voices heard both at the ballot box, but also in the community and at the Capitol. Thank you.
Welcome to your virtual day at the Capitol. My name is Esther Agbaje, and I am a first-term state representative from House District 59B. That's an area that covers downtown Minneapolis, the North Loop, and Northside neighborhoods including Harrison, Willard Hay, Bryn Mawr, and Near North. This year I serve on the following committees: Capital Investment, Housing, Taxes, Preventive Health, and I also serve as the Vice Chair of the Rules Committee. My plan this year is to focus on bills that advance Black Minnesotans through this pandemic and beyond. That includes strengthening housing protections, such as when an eviction can appear on your record, increasing environmental protections so that our neighborhoods have high air and water quality standards. I also plan to lead on efforts to move the Crown Act into law so that our people will not be discriminated for how they decide to wear their hair at school or work. It's important to have Black legislators so that our experiences can shape policy to ensure that Black Minnesotans are considered as fully as any other Minnesotan. It's also important for our community to get involved and feel comfortable in these spaces. We belong here. I will be using my voice to advance the needs of our community, and I encourage you to reach out to us and to your own state representatives. Get to know them, their issues, and let them know what's important to you. Through all of our engagement, we will move towards the just society that we deserve.
Hi, I'm Cedric Frazier, State Rep District 45A, which covers the cities of New Hope, Crystal, and the eastern part of Plymouth. I'm a freshman legislator, so it's my first term, but I'm very happy to be here, and particularly during this time. We're in the middle of this pandemic. There's been a reckoning around racial injustice with the murder of George Floyd last year. And again, we're in the middle of a pandemic where we're seeing disproportionately BIPOC people, particularly Black people, are dying from this pandemic or losing jobs because of this pandemic. And it is absolutely important that we have voices in the legislature as we're working on a budget this year to make sure that we reflect and focus in and create some equity when we're allocating resources to make sure those communities are being taken care of. I'm from that community, so it's absolutely important for me to raise these issues, to amplify these issues, and to make sure we're doing everything we can to get resources to the people that need it. I gotta tell you, it's vitally important that we have these councils around. And the African Heritage Council is very important because, again, you are going to bring the issues to the Capitol, to legislators on both sides of the aisle, and also to the governor's office to say, here's what we need, here's what the community needs. Here are the issues that need to be addressed. Here are the things that are going to make the lives of folks in the African heritage community better. So I'm excited to work with you. I'm glad you're still having the Capitol Hill Day virtually this year. I'm looking forward to connecting with everyone once we get past the pandemic so we can meet in person and be in community like we usually do. And I'm just so very excited to be connected with you all, and I'm excited about the work that we're going to do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Athena Hollins, and I'm a freshman legislator serving District 66B, which is the northern part of the city of St. Paul. It includes Como Park, North End, and part of the Payne-Phelan neighborhoods. I serve on the following committees: Climate and Energy, Public Safety, Judiciary, and Prevention of Homelessness. As a diversity, equity, and inclusion professional, I like to think that all of my bills address equity issues in one way or another, and therefore have a direct impact on the people of African heritage. In particular, I'm working on a number of bills that would bring greater accountability to law enforcement, limiting the doctrine of qualified immunity, prohibiting law enforcement from accepting military-grade hand-me-downs, and requiring police officers to carry professional liability insurance. I'm also working on several pieces of climate justice legislation because we know that climate change is going to disproportionately affect Black and Brown communities in the coming years. It's important for African heritage communities to participate in the legislative process because our voices have been historically excluded from the conversation. So much so that some folks don't even want to try to start engaging. But I'm telling you, it isn't going to get better until we demand better. Black legislators are going to try their very best and push for things that matter to our communities. But the reality is we're just 10 people in a body of 200 legislators. So we need your voices, your perspectives, and your lived experiences. And we need you to share them with your own legislators, even if they aren't Black. Voting is just the beginning of the democratic process. It's up to all of us to hold our elected officials accountable.
Hello, my name is John Thompson, and I'm honored to represent District 67A, which covers most of the east side of St. Paul. I'm also honored to be the first African-American male to ever be elected into this seat. And I'm honored to do a video for the council on Minnesotans of African Heritage. Everything I do in the Minnesota House is about bringing the voices of my neighbors to a building that we can see out our windows, but feel as the people inside can't see us. You know, in the House I serve on the Education Finance Committee, Higher Education Finance and Policy, the Agriculture Finance and Policy Committee, and also the Behavioral Health Policy Division, where I recently brought forward and successfully advanced my bill, which is 722, to create a more effective and equitable system of treatment for substance abuse. You know, because too often Minnesotans are receiving care from people who don't understand their background or their culture, and they are failing as a result. This bill also builds a more inclusive way for us to take care of each other. And that's the kind of change that I hope to make, you know, there in that committee. This is the most diverse legislative body in Minnesota history. And earlier this month, my fellow members in the United States Black Legislative Caucus announced their priorities for this legislative session. And, you know, priorities that focus on addressing disparities in economic opportunity, housing, education, health and human service, public safety, transportation, environmental justice, and so on, where improvements will not only lift up Black Minnesotans, but our state as a whole. You know, I often say that it's easy for me to drive past the state capitol and just write it off as some museum. A lot of people in my community think it's a museum. And you know, for me now, I'm here. While there are certainly societal structures that make it difficult for Black Minnesotans to be heard, we know that this place, this Capitol, is also for us. You know, now more than ever, Black Minnesotans need to let their voices get involved in the legislative process. And our voices inside this building are growing here. So for me, I feel like I know I'm definitely Black history when it comes to Black history in the state of Minnesota. Also, just noting that I have another bill that I'm pushing, 784, which I call it the Philando Castile Omnibus Bill. People know me because Philando Castile was my good friend. I just want to make sure that the state never forgets what was taken from us, man. It was a gem in our state, a pillar in our community, taken from us. And just to honor my friend's name, this Philando Castile Omnibus Bill, which is House File 784, would address systemic racism throughout this state and force us to have a conversation about a lot of the things that we complain about happening in our African American community when we talk about crime, the shootings, the carjacking. Well, there's an underlying problem here. The underinvestment in these communities create the need for more public safety and create the need for over-policing. Our community is safe. We don't have bad kids in our community. We have kids that make bad choices because they don't have the funding to do some of the things that they want to do. So I'm hoping to be the change that I also often complain about and talk about, and hopefully I can inspire other African American men to be the change. A lot of times we're not at the table, we're on the menu. I'm sick of being on the menu. And so this is why I'm here in the House of Representatives.
Greetings, I'm Sharika Doe, and I'm the president of the local chapter of the National Panhandling Council, known as the NPHC. The local chapter was founded February 9, 2013, and the national chapter was founded May 10, 1930. The NPHC believes in unity and empowerment of the community. In 2020, the NPHC was instrumental in standing with the community due to the injustice and the death of George Floyd. The NPHC supported community organizations in helping to pass out food and supplies to the community. The NPHC donated and gathered school supplies and over $4,000 in gift cards to Elizabeth Hall Elementary School located in North Minneapolis. The NPHC was instrumental in hosting the first cash mob for Black-owned businesses to help them stay afloat during the pandemic and the riots. The NPHC is supporting of CMAH as we support the legislation process and the issues that plague our communities. The NPHC supports the legislative process to help issues that affect our community like affordable housing, medical, education, and prison reform. Thank you for supporting the Day on the Hill.
Hello and welcome to CMAH's Day on the Hill. I'm so glad you can join us. My name is Theodore Rose and I serve as the Council's Legislative and Policy Director. I'm going to speak with you today about two critical components of our legislative work. A key first part of our work is to develop and drive a legislative agenda that responds to the critical public policy needs of the African heritage community in Minnesota. In 2021, our legislative agenda consists of 5 intersecting policy areas. And these are strong families and communities, education and healthcare, criminal justice and public safety, small business and working families, and immigration and international development. We use 2 critical lenses or frameworks in our work on our approach to these areas. And both of these lenses or frameworks come out of the African heritage experience in Minnesota and key pressing concerns from that experience. A first lens that we use comes from the movements and the efforts and struggles for police reform that have expanded since the killing of George Floyd. Another key lens is the deep need or imperative for targeted legislation that addresses the disproportionate impact of the COVID pandemic and its aftermath upon our community. We believe that when our community and our society responds to the particular needs of the African heritage community, when we are truly decisive and intentional and vigorous in our response, the society improves conditions and systems for the population as a whole. The second component of CMAH's work is to facilitate community engagement in the legislative process. We cannot do this work without you. We want you to be part of the legislative process, and indeed, our community needs all of its members in all of their diversity, in all of our abundance, to engage, to participate, and to drive the legislative process in Minnesota. Your participation and voice are the drivers of our community empowerment. At CMAH, we strive to facilitate and provoke the engagement of our constituents in the legislative process, and we do this by trying to build platforms for legislative training and for policy dialogue and broader conversations. The objective of these programs is to amplify the voices of our community in processes of self-governance and social change. We would love to hear from you. Contact us for additional information about CMAH's work. Contact us if you want to partner with CMAH on your own advocacy work and your own policy priorities. And contact us also if you need help with getting in touch with a legislator, or if you want to chat about any issue of concern. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you so very much.
Hello, my name is Nalima Sitatu Manene. I am the Executive Director of ASA Inc. ASA is the African Career Education and Resources Inc. We're an issue-based organization, and our mission is to close the inequity gaps that exist within our communities. In 2020, CMAH's clarion call for community empowerment was very timely for our communities, and at ASA, we worked to address some of the most pressing challenges in our communities in 3 ways. One was through advocating for emergency rental assistance right at the beginning of the pandemic, and continuing to advocate for the eviction moratorium to stay in place so that our communities will continue to be housing secure. We also partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to increase access for COVID testing within the Black communities. In 2021, we continued to work with them to increase vaccination within the Black communities, and also to increase education within our communities and address the concerns that our communities may have around COVID issues. Third, we worked with micro businesses to advocate for financing. Micro businesses in our communities have been disproportionately impacted by the COVID pandemic, and we want to ensure that they not only weather the pandemic, but they continue to be sustainable after the pandemic. In the 2021 legislative session, it is very important for our communities to be engaged. We need to work with our elected officials, be at the table, raise our unified voice, and come up with solutions that will close the inequity gaps that exist within our communities once and for all, and lead us into prosperity. I hope you will join us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amber Jones, and I am the Outreach Coordinator here at the Council. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope this year's program empowered you and energized you to get involved here at the Capitol for lasting change. We want to thank our distinguished speakers, Governor Tim Walz, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Mayor Melvin Carter, all of our legislators of African heritage, and our community partners for sharing their messages with us tonight. We want to thank Ashley DeBose for providing this year's entertainment. And last but not least, we want to thank you, our viewers and constituents, for tuning in. To connect with the Council, you can follow us on Facebook at CMAH, on Twitter at CMAHMN, and you can go to our website for more information at mn.gov/CMAH, and be sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Thank you again, and have a great evening.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round. You can find that fighter, but I see it in you so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, when the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, yeah, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains, take it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, said all we need, all we need is hope, and but that we have each other, and but that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we'll rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of it. I will rise 1,000 times, and we'll rise up, high like the waves. We'll rise up, rise unafraid. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you. And we'll rise up, high like the waves. We'll rise up, rise unafraid. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.